ReCrewted League football is gonna be back. Cause all my rowdy crew are in on a Monday night. Are you ready for some recap? A Monday night party. This is the Cal man trying to get this whole thing started. Well, sir, this takes about 5 minutes or your money back. It's Volume 1 of the ReCrewted League recap, Week 10 of the NFL. But playoff race is starting to kind of heat up a little bit. A lot of stuff happening in this week, both real and in fantasy football. Plan is I'm going to go through the games, add my 2 cents on everything, take a macro and micro view of the goings on. Let's start with the big storylines of Week 10. In my opinion, it has to be Meth Damon and Mom Enough, the top 2 teams in the league, looking like they're going to lose to the worst 2 teams in the league. That would be Midgers Nidgers and Darkest of Horses. Neither Midgers Nidgers nor Darkest of Horses have won a game this year. They're pretty bad. So it's probably pretty embarrassing for the Worm and for Bikini to drop these 2 games when they kind of need these wins to kind of solidify their push into the playoffs. Only top 4 teams make it. It would be surprising if either of them fell out, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. So those are bad losses, really bad. And since I'm a reasonable guy, so I'll throw myself in this equation as well. My loss puts me out of the playoff spot for now. I dropped to 5. Let's spend a little more time discussing my game over Gomez's team. Cam Newton was a big reason I think I lost. Another reason, my wide receivers really kind of shat the bed as well. You think with Antonio Brown, Steve Smith, and Wes Welker, I would have a clear advantage over Terrence Williams, Pierre Garcon, and Cecil Shorts III, but that crop of wide receivers outscored mine by about 10 points. So that really cost me. I need pretty much my whole team to execute to overcome a team that has Peyton Manning and Adrian Peterson. But I guess another thing worth noting on those wide receivers, Cecil Shorts III is on pace for about 1,000 yards, which is pretty remarkable considering the abomination that the Jaguars have been this year. Garcon started to look better, even though RG3 has not been the same quarterback. I think Williams has benefited a little bit from Des Bryant being a crazy man and Miles Austin being out in Dallas. Marshawn Lynch did all right for me, but again, hard to overcome those other performances. Gomez also got a strong performance out of his defense, and his linebacker, Luke Kuechly, was also on the Panthers. I think he was the first defensive player taken in the draft, so credit where credit's due. Well done, Gomez. All right, next matchup we're going to cover Cougar Ants, Commissioner PB's team, against Nocho Cinco's, McCoy's team. Nocho Cinco's really kind of destroyed PB. Uh, Ryan Tannehill, I mean, if he goes bonkers tonight and Charles Clay has a couple touchdowns, this could end up being close. But with all the turmoil down in Miami, I wouldn't expect that to happen. So probably going to be a win for Nocho Cinco's, which should put him in the top 4. I think it will put him in the top 4 of the playoffs. He has a pretty dope group of wide receivers. AJ Green had a pretty big game. Although that one touchdown he caught at the end was kind of bullshit, but whatever. I have him on my other team, so I don't know why I'm mad about this. Andre Johnson continues to be playing well. He racked up 15 points. Deshaun Jackson benefiting from the likely emergence of Nick Foles, 14 points. Nocho Cinco's is a pretty good team. If not, I don't feel too bad being out of the playoffs because of the guys that he has on his roster. He even survived a goose egg from BJ Raji. On the other hand, PB's team, this is a pretty bad week for him. He only had one player in double digits. That one player is Danny Woodhead. So when he's your best player, it's probably not going to be good. Matt Forte really had a stinky show. Less than 5 points. There's probably a lot of cause for concern up in Chicago. Jay Cutler being hurt lately and losing a key divisional game to Detroit yesterday. So there could be a few more points PB's way tonight, but I wouldn't expect anything to really tip this matchup. All right, moving on to one of the 2 big upsets of the day. Midgers Niggers looking like he's going to defeat Mom Enough. Currently, he's up by 27 points going into the Monday night game. And he still has Brian Hartline playing. So he could have a few more points to add to his lead. Keeney, on the other hand, still has Mike James playing, who's in for the injured Doug Martin in Tampa Bay. So he could net a few more points, but I'm not expecting him to get enough to overtake the infamous MJR. MJR winning this week despite having Devin McCourty still starting on his defense. So that means Bikini lost to a shortened roster. Not a good loss at all when he's trying to solidify his playoff positioning. But that's what's going to happen when your starting quarterback gets you negative points, which is what Jake Locker did in the Titans' interestingly parallel terrible loss to the Jaguars. Bikini probably feels like the Titans right now, or maybe worse. The only player who really did anything for him actually was Demaryius Thomas. It's not a huge surprise. He's had a big year for the Broncos. But really, apart from that, most of his players scored under their projected points. It's not really a fearsome team for the playoffs. I kind of hope I get positioned against them if I make the playoffs. But that's another story for another time. Midgers Niggers, on the other hand, huge game from Tavon Austin. 32 points. Who on earth would have seen that coming? Apparently he did. He also had 23 points from Pierre Thomas. 87 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. That might be his best pro game in his entire career. He really hasn't done anything in New Orleans until this week. Peyton Hillis didn't really do anything. I don't know why he started him. But hey, can't really question the Midge after this impressive performance. Really did pretty well for himself. Feel good for the guy. So there are bad losses, like what happened to Bikini's team, what happened to the Colts yesterday, what happened to the Titans against the hapless Jaguars, and then there's what happened to Worm. First place team losing by 36 points to the second to last team in the league, a winless Webby team. Pretty big upset, pretty big news. Worm still has Tim Wright going tonight, but I wouldn't expect that to make any difference in the outcome. Not a terrible game for the Worm. I mean, he almost got 100 points. He got pretty good production out of his defense. Frank Gore continues to tell Father Time to fuck off. Alshon Jeffrey played well. Phil Rivers, solid game. Torrey Smith, solid game. But Webby just had some guys who had some pretty big games. RG3 with 27. He continues to put up pretty big fantasy numbers, even though his team should be ashamed of themselves on a weekly basis. But we're here to talk about fantasy, not real football teams. So I'll get back on track. Golden Tate with 16 points. Looks like he wisened up and decided to stop showboating and start to produce some big numbers. I'm sure Webby was happy about that. Brandon Marshall, really the biggest player in this entire matchup with 25 points. Really big for Webby. No Sean Moreno, also a solid game. MJD with 13 points. I know Worm has tried to build a team around his backs, but today his backs, CJ Spiller, Frank Gore, and Andre Ellington, got outproduced by Moreno, Jaquiz Rogers, and Maurice Jones. I'm still alive, Drew. So well done, Webby. Welcome to the land of the winning. And Worm, I hope you're laughing like Nicolas Cage still. Looks like the last laugh is on you. All right, our next matchup. Josh's team defeated Crimin 102.88, 71.46. Still not sure who this Josh character is. He's never responded to anything on the email thread. There's a pretty big conspiracy theory out there that's just another PB team. But I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe. But whether or not he's real, he defeated Crimin this week pretty handily. Had some big games from Drew Brees, T.Y. Hilton, and DeMarco Murray. Brees with 31 points, top player in this matchup. T.Y. Hilton still producing a pretty embarrassing Colts loss. The Baltimore defense also putting up a nice amount of points in what was a big win for them yesterday. On Crimin's side, Matthew Stafford had another pretty big game with 20 points. Sean Shady McCoy with 16 points. Was one of his better games. I think that was his first game over 100 yards. I don't think he had any games over 75 yards actually this year. So it's probably his biggest rushing day of the year. Pretty sure. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Jimmy Graham really underperformed this week. Only scored 6 points. He hasn't really looked the same since the Pats roughed him up. Phil Dawson actually had 12 points. But Crimin committed the pretty unforgivable error of having a wide receiver on a bye in his starting lineup. That would be Danny Amendola. It's one thing to even have a guy who's not playing. It's another thing when that guy doesn't even play when he's healthy. So that really, you really can't win when that happens. All right. Another upset this week. Maybe a minor upset. Maybe a slight upset, but still a little bit of an upset. Patrick's best team, which is actually Brenna's team, Not sure what she was thinking with her name there. Defeated the autosaves, led by Eric Shenson, in a score of 135.92 to 91.38. So Shank still has Vincent Jackson playing tonight, who's had a pretty big year, and is projected to have about 11 points. And he also has Miami's defense. So, I mean, Vincent Jackson, if he goes bonkers tonight and Miami pitches actually, that's going to be hard. Because if he goes bonkers, then Miami's going to have a bad game. So it's, and vice versa. If Miami's doing well, then Jackson probably hasn't done anything. So not looking good for Shenson. He's probably going to lose this game. Brenda's put together a nice string of wins. She defeated me. So that's always a pretty good win. But her team was pretty good. I wouldn't sleep on it. She's on the outside looking in the playoffs, but she's been playing spoiler lately. And she has a pretty good team led by Andrew Luck. Still scored 17 points despite the bad loss by the Colts. She has Megatron, who's might be the NFL's MVP right now. One of the better wide receiver seasons I can really remember. The dude's pretty unstoppable. But she also, give credit where credit's due. Some good waiver wire pickups. Rashard Jennings, 10 points. Zach Stacy, almost 13. I kick myself almost every minute of every waking day for not picking him up. That might be the best waiver wire pickup of the year. Her defense and kicker even got her a lot of points this week. Hauschka got almost 20 points. It's pretty ridiculous. She got 39 points from her defense and 2 defensive players. That's absurd. Shenson, on the other hand, only got 12, so that's almost where the matchup was decided, really. But, Shenson, a few of his guys had pretty good games. Julius Thomas, another good game for the Denver tight end who's had a breakout year. Kenny Stills, good pickup. Received 13 points. Trent Richardson continuing to not really do anything. 3 points. And Russell Wilson with 21 in the Seattle victory. So Shenson, he kind of needed this win to stay in the playoff hunt. But he drops back a little bit. Brenna moves up a little bit, and it's going to be pretty crowded standings tomorrow when the updated rankings come in. I'm glad Shenson's a little farther back. He was a rival to me. But I wouldn't sleep on Brenna. She's only a game or two out of playoff position. All right, well, that does it for this week's games. Hope to see you next week. I'm going to eat right now. I don't think I'm going to watch the crap fest of a Monday night game tonight. But for those who do, I hope you enjoy it. And may you fare well and prosper. Calman out.